think they see. City Council meeting of April the 17th to order. Would the clerk please read the roll?
Mr. Amrine?
Here.
Ms. Elko? Here. Mr. Clapper?
Here.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes, here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Here.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Here.
Mr. Sidoti?
Here.
Mr. Turner?
Here. Opening remarks by Mr.
Sure. Well, I'm just really...
Pledge.
What's that?
Opening remarks in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes. I'm really grateful that everyone's here. I've only been in council for 3 months. Usually these chambers are half empty. Now we've got people spilling out the door. So thanks for being here. Please keep showing up. Please keep engaging. Please keep emailing, researching, contacting your council people. It's really important. It gives us our marching orders. And I just love all the energy. I love the multi-generational energy. We are here for you. We are hearing you, and look forward to everything you have to tell us tonight. With that,
Pledge.
Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I need approval of the minutes of March the 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Gwen and Mike. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, thank you. All right, before we get into public communication, I'm going to make a motion, or get a motion from the floor to break our standing rules to have Bridget give an overview of the marijuana situation in the state of Ohio. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded it?
Gwen.
Gwen. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Bridget?
She out there somewhere?
She is.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is unprecedented, so I do appreciate the opportunity. I've been doing zoning law for 25 years, and I can say I've never seen as much misinformation travel so quickly on social media as I have on this issue. So I'm going to clarify based on the law and the facts only, and my experience with our prior temporary moratorium that was put in place for medical marijuana. To start, Issue 2 was approved by voters on November 7th, and it took effect 30 days later on December 7th. Issue 2 was initiated by a statute ballot measure, so it can be amended by the state legislature at any time. Proposed amendments were issued by the Ohio Senate in December, but none were taken up by the House, and 2 bills that were introduced in the Ohio House were never moved forward out of committee to the full House. On January 17th, 2024, the City of Kent authorized a moratorium on adult-use cannabis operators, testing laboratories, and individuals required to be licensed. To be clear, this moratorium is not a ban. It is a legislative action that was utilized back when medical marijuana was approved in 2016. The moratorium was used then, and in this most recent instance, to give us an interim measure, a pause, until the state of Ohio adopts all of the rules, regulations, and guidelines for the new use associated with adult cannabis industry. This is not associated with one business. It is not associated with one company. It is a use. It is a new land use, just like drive-thrus were, just like student-oriented housing that did a rent per bed model that we also used a temporary moratorium for. To rush zoning law through without having all the laws results in bad public policy. So this temporary moratorium was put in place to ensure that we had all the rules so that we could move forward and make judicious and appropriate rules and regulations in our zoning code that reflect the community and the law. The moratoriums allow us to proceed with text amendments in a way that allows comment, not just for those on social media, but in a public forum. Because I was at Planning Commission meetings for the medical marijuana facility, and we had many there that would argue opposite of what has been sent to me via email and has been posted on social media. Following the medical marijuana moratorium, there was back and forth proposed rules. This went on for several months, I believe about 15 months. Once the rules were finalized, it took the city 5 months to go through those public hearing processes and adopt those into our zoning code. We adopted all 5 medical marijuana uses. Again, uses, not a company, not a business. We have cultivators, we have processors, we have testing, we have dispensaries. We have different sizes of those. And based on the nature and context of those, within the confines of the state law, we decided where they go. Because zoning law is about being complementary uses, not contradictory. So the residents behind 331 East Main Street had issues, for example, with the medical marijuana dispensary. Many of their arguments were associated with recreational marijuana uses or assumed uses. And I'm going to quote Mr. Dulick, who's here, by the way. Hello, nice to see you, Jamie. At the Planning Commission on January 18th, Mr. Dulick, who is co-owner of Bliss, Ohio, and who presented, said to Commissioner Clapper at that time, who questioned, do you need a prescription card to enter the building? Mr. Dulick stated, these are approved minutes, by the way, this is not my own assumption, that is required. No one enters without a medical card that is issued by a doctor. Mr. Dulick stated that he believes that there is some misunderstanding with the differences between recreational and medical marijuana. He stated that this is medicinal. He stated that at some point the state of Ohio passes a recreational marijuana law, it will have to go through a separate process. That's what this temporary moratorium is. It is a separate process. We're about to pass law that will not only affect the community at large, but other businesses, other dispensaries, other cultivators, other testing agencies. And to do that in a reactive position versus a proactive position is not good zoning. I can tell you that the temporary moratorium that the administration asked for when we were inundated with student housing developers and they had switched to a rent per bed model, we requested the temporary moratorium. It was approved, but we allowed one to go through, the Presbyterian Church. After that happened, I had members of that same council that allowed that to go through say, it's an atrocity. Why did it go through? Because there were people here that voiced their opposition to us pausing, slowing down, and adopting zoning law that allowed us to put things in place that were for the benefit of the entire community. And what we have is what's out on Summit Street at the Presbyterian Church. And I even had an elder from that same meeting that came and spoke in favor of it say that he had no idea it was going to look like that. There is a reason why public policy is slowed down. There is a reason why we take time. There is no one on the administration that is banning recreational marijuana or that is against it. But I do not advise that we go forward without at least looking at all the laws. It is up to council's purview if the moratorium stays in place. But the administration and my 25 years of zoning law advise that we slow down, wait till the laws are passed. I want to clarify a couple other issues that have come to me in numerous emails, by the way, as well as voicemails, as well as comments. One is, for example, that these are going to be issued on June 7th. Here's the timelines from the Division of Cannabis Control, that is now a new division under the Department of Commerce. April 23rd will be a public hearing on proposed rules for the cannabis industry, the adult cannabis industry, or recreational marijuana. So they came out with proposed rules on March 22nd. Public comment is going through on April 23rd. The statute requires that initial applications for non-medical cannabis, and I'm quoting here, licensure, are made available June 7th. I can make applications available in my building department too. But I've got 30 days under state law to act on those. We don't know how long we have. The statute says medical cannabis licensure available by June 7th. Then it has to take place 9 months after the effective date of the statute. They have to issue provisional licenses, which is September 7th. Those are the timelines we're looking at, not issuance of licenses. So please, I ask, if you're going to be referencing this, quoting this to us, please go to the Division of Cannabis Control under the Department of Commerce and read the rules, or go to the Ohio Revised Code and the adopted ordinance there, because that is what we're working within. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bridget.
Okay, before we get into citizens' remarks, I've got to read something. While the law does not require council to provide time to the public for comment, we have historically invited the public to make their comments, and we appreciate their input. This is a time when residents of the city of Kent and others can comment on matters that concern them. However, we will not engage in any debate, and as President Council, I reserve the right to end any public comment that is disruptive, embarrassment, harassment, or otherwise objectionable. We ask that you come to the podium, speak your name and address clearly, and we'll give you 3 minutes to address the council. At this time, would the clerk read the first name?
Pamela Siekman.
Thanks, Council, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. You should have a copy of my statement, and it's a little bit lengthy, so I referenced in there. Dwayne will take the second half of the 3 minutes because we want to be mindful of the time that we're allotted. So hopefully you do have that statement and can follow along. But to reintroduce myself, Pamela Siekman. I am the co-owner of Bliss, Ohio, located at 331 East Main Street. We are a state-licensed medical marijuana dispensary. I would like to correct for the record, since this is in public, Bridget was incorrect when she stated that Jamie Dulick is a co-owner. He is not. He is the property owner. Dwayne and I, for the last 25 years, have been successful small business owners, and since 2015, we have been actively involved in developing Ohio's medical marijuana policy and regulations. After a rigorous application and review process, a facility build-out, We were approved by and issued an operator's license from the State of Ohio Board of Pharmacy on April 19, 2023. Following changes enacted late last year by the Ohio General Assembly, the Ohio Department of Commerce's Division of Cannabis Control now oversees the regulation and compliance activities associated with licensed medical cannabis dispensaries. Beginning with the submission of its application and all the time since, Bliss, Ohio has maintained full compliance with all aspects of the law pertaining to medical cannabis dispensaries. We serve more than 2,000 patients, and we support the Kent community. We employ 11 people. I think all of them are here today, and we plan to hire more. Our employees are licensed by the state. They receive federal background checks and are trained according to state-approved standard operating procedures. We use local contractors for security, IT, HVAC, landscaping, snowplow, and many other general contracting needs. We are members of the Kent Area Chamber. We participated in the golf outing, the Tree City annual dinner and award ceremony, the silent auction. We've donated our time to lunch and learns for area businesses, and we've done a ribbon cutting with the mayor and some members of council here. We're members of the Kent Natural Foods Co-op. We held our holiday party at Laziza. We buy gift cards from local restaurants. We buy pizza from Lucci's and Euro Gyro. We buy tacos or burritos from Taco Tantos, bagels from the Bagel Cafe, and bowls from Grazers. We lunch at River Merchant and Troy Grill. We buy drinks at Brico's, Ray's Place, and Mike's Place. We hosted a private event for our employees at the park as well. We have stayed more nights at the Kent University Hotel than I care to admit. We've also donated to charities. One of them is, just to name a few, One of a Kind Pets, Whole Latte of Love, the VFW Post 4738, Last Prisoner Project, American Humist Association, and the National Parks Foundation. We pay local sales tax, property tax, payroll tax, and income tax. We will pay adult use sales tax as well in the form of a 10% excise tax that will go to the city. With regard to the 10% excise tax on adult use marijuana sales, the Ohio Department of Taxation and the Ohio Office of Budget and Management calculated tax revenues estimated at $200 million.
Could you wind it up? Your time's getting there.
Of that total, 72 million will go to the host community fund, which the city would benefit from. Following the passage of Issue 2 last November, we hope to expand our business into adult cannabis sales. Medical cannabis operators are the first line to obtain adult use licenses from the state because we have already been through the rigorous application process and have demonstrated we are good stewards of the law in the community. Even so, an application for an adult use license will be licensed by a medical dispensary like Bliss is by no means automatic. Rather, we will again be required to demonstrate to the state the necessary capabilities to meet the rigorous requirements set out in the statutes enacted by Issue 2, as well as the forthcoming administrative rules that were mentioned earlier. To our dismay, we learned that during the holiday season, with little notice, that the city expressed opposition to moratorium, stating that it would take a wait-and-see approach, and specifically that the moratorium states that the city would like the opportunity to review the state rules that were adopted in rules, regulations, and guidelines.
Could you close now? Your time's up.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mayor. I'll finish with this. We'd like to inform council that the Department of Commerce Division of Cannabis Control has already issued 13 new administrative rules regarding the dual license application, which is what we will be applying for. These rules are submitted for public comment, and the chairman of the Joint Committee on Agency Rule Review stated that he expects those to be finalized on May 13th. Do you want to finish, since I'm out of time? Can he finish this?
Whoever's next on the list.
Dwayne Seekman.
Name and address, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. Dwayne Seekman, co-owner of Bliss, Ohio, 331 East Main Street. Let me find Pamela's. The final version of the administrative rules will be the same or substantially similar as the Ohio Department of Commerce, as they will not be doing any additional drafting after the JCAR finalizes this and approves those on May 13th. The Department of Commerce's administrative rules regarding the locations for cannabis facilities mirrors existing codified law will not be changed for adult use or dual use license holders. Bliss, Ohio will be a dual use license holder, not a new 10B license holder. As such, the very rules that the city is waiting to see for zoning purpose already exist and are in effect. I'm going to skip to my piece. Sorry, Pamela.
Can you speak in the microphone?
Sure. On November 7th, 2023, 73% of Kent residents voted in favor of adult use cannabis sales. And that initiated statute was the entire program. It wasn't just one line, adult use cannabis sales, compared to Portage County, which was 58%. In Ward 5, where Bliss is located, 85.5% voted in favor. Ward 1, 71.9, Ward 2, 71.5, Ward 3, 76, you get the thing. Ward 4, 76.6, Ward 6, 79.5. So it's pretty favorable from the city of Kent. I want to share a little bit about our facilities and operations. First, with our landlord, Jamie Dulick, we had an investment over $1 million to bring this business up to code, compliance with local and state regulations. Improvements included siding, paint, shingles, windows, a vault, bigger than a bank vault, a vault. Closed delivery bay, new HVA system, electrical security system, and state-of-the-art fire system. As Pamela mentioned earlier, our employees are licensed by the state, receive federal background checks, and et cetera. I'd like to highlight some of the security and surveillance regulations as required by the state that we implemented. Almost $300,000 worth of security. For every hour operation, we have a certified and trained security guard present. Each one of our employees is actually state certified as a security guard. We have 65 security cameras, internally and externally, of which 10 are 360-degree multi-directional cameras for both internal and external views. Our cameras have no blind spots on any of the 3 floors, with the exception of the restrooms. We have them in closets, no restrooms. We have 23 motion detectors that cover the entire building inside and out. We have 22 panic stations and sirens with strobes. We've actually, and 16 fire sensors. We've actually assisted the City of Kent Police Department with some video, with some burglaries, traffic accidents. And we paid $70,000 to the state for our certificate to operate. One thing, I don't know how much time I have left, Mayor, but I'm going to go to the end. It was brought up earlier at the January 2022 Planning Commission meeting, which Jamie Dulick attended. Residents had an opportunity to share their concerns, and they were lengthy. The concerns raised, they range from Bliss, Ohio patients who will be selling their purchases for sex in the parking lot. Yes, that's true. To active use of product in the parking lot, to random people walking in the nearby neighborhood, to loud music, long hours, diversion, access to school children. One can look at each and every one of those concerns raised, and not a single one has come true. Our staff, our patients, should be commended for a job well done in maintaining a level of professionalism. In my opinion, are owed a sense of gratitude and thanks for being I get torn up with our staff and our patients, for being an exemplary Kent community partner. We look forward to continuing to build our business in Kent and serving as a good neighbor for the community. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you. Next.
Madeline Franz.
Name and address for the record. We'll give you 3 minutes.
Madeline Franz, 30 North Rose, current student at Kent State University. Good to go? The City of Kent has a long-standing reputation of leadership, education, and hospitality. From the memorialized stand students took on May 4th to the frequent gatherings on campus, Kent has distinguished itself as a modern, revolutionary town buzzing with a passion for progressive ideas and a deep appreciation for its history. While I can certainly appreciate the delicate nature of zoning laws and the need to handle this change carefully and rationally, as the law stands today, cannabis is legally able to be consumed by adults 21 years of age in the state of Ohio, and to repress legal sales within city limits is statistically irresponsible. According to a study in December 2023, the effects of local recreational marijuana policy changes in college towns showed an almost 54% increase in applications, with an average 3.8% increase in SAT scores for the top 25% of those applicants. According to another study, out-of-state enrollees increased nearly 25% in the year of and following local marijuana legalization. According to the Ohio State University Drug Enforcement and Policy Center, the estimated potential annual tax revenue generated by cannabis sales is between $276 million to $403 million in the fifth year of an operational cannabis market. To limit the economic and educational potential in the city would simply be a disservice. Many of these faces you see today, along with the 73% of Kent taxpayers who voted in support of ending this prohibition, will be voting in each of your wards based on your decision to allow or disallow zoning for recreational marijuana. You stand at a crossroads today of deciding if a safe, legal, and regulated substance will be allowed to be purchased and consumed by legal adults, or if taxpayer dollars will be funneled directly into surrounding cities, as well as increasing the likelihood of unregulated, potentially dangerous product falling in the hands of your citizens and students. I urge you and my fellow taxpayers to remember that the change we see first is the change that we create in our own communities. I hope to see each of you moving forward with us into the future and not be left behind in the past like this prohibition soon will be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further?
Sabra Correa.
Name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Sabra. I live at 136 Lake Street here in Kent. I'm just a person, so bear with me.
Join the club.
Yeah.
I'm also a longtime resident of Kent and a medical marijuana patient at Bliss. And I'm here tonight because I'm worried about the future of one of our local businesses. I don't understand how we, the people of Ohio, can say that we want legalized marijuana and have various government bodies put roadblocks in the way of making that happen for us. It's bad enough that it's taking the state so long to do licensures. I mean, I'm just a person. I don't understand the government things that are happening. But I do wonder, why should we, as a community, not allow one of our local businesses to pivot and account for a changing market? Because things are going to change once we can have adult use. Sorry, I get so nervous.
Okay.
Adult use
right.
licenses.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I'll trade you seats.
No, thank you. Anyway, why should we hamper local business from being able to pivot for a changing market that we know is going to change? I was so excited when Bliss opened up because I can literally walk there. Super convenient, and I keep going back because it's local and they're part of the community. And I don't want to see them struggle because we won't let them have an adult use license, but like Ravenna can or Cuyahoga Falls can, because not letting people purchase adult use in the city of Kent is not going to stop people from buying it elsewhere and bringing it back home. So at the end of the day, I just want to keep Kent local, and I hope you do too.
Thank you. Very good. Next.
Hannah Toth.
Name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Hannah Toth. I live at 1835 Ashton Lane. Good evening, City Council members. I'm also a Kent State University senior and plan to continue staying here after I graduate. Today, as we discuss cannabis legalization and recreational sales, I'd like to delve into the important economic, political, and medical implications of restricting recreational marijuana sales in Kent. Firstly, there are many medical patients already being served here for conditions like PTSD and Crohn's disease. However, there are also people who use marijuana for medical purposes, such as aiding depression and anxiety, which is currently not a reason to get a med card here. I personally struggle with both of those issues, depression and anxiety, as many college students do, and I've tried therapy, I am on antidepressants, and I find that the only thing that really helps in aiding my depression is marijuana. In November, over 70% of our community voted yes on issue 2 in support of recreational marijuana sales. By proposing this moratorium, you will be going directly against the voices of the community that you're supposed to be serving. If this moratorium is passed, the only medical marijuana dispensary in Kent will suffer greatly and cost many people their jobs, which will lead to community members seeking marijuana for medical purposes, heading to other cities, or going to the streets. While on the topic of money, it's important to mention that Kent will lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax revenue and further enable people to find their weed on the streets. In 2022, 81% of Ohio's unintentional drug overdoses were due to fentanyl poisoning. Through the legalization of recreational marijuana, people will no longer go to the street where many drugs are laced with fentanyl or other drugs. Safely distributing marijuana will instead bring money to the state and allow community members to safely purchase their marijuana. The most important message here is that as city council members, you are elected by the community to serve community members. This moratorium will negatively affect this community in more ways than one, especially financially. As a community member who genuinely wants the best for this city, I urge you all to keep the voices of your citizens in mind, as well as the economic benefits that recreational marijuana sales will have for our city. I hope a decision can be made, and I thank you all for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Mitchell Hitchcock.
Name and address for the record.
Good evening. Mitchell Hitchcock, 1840 Rhodes Road, apartment 151. My name is Mitchell Hitchcock. I'm a member of Ward 4. I've been in Kent for over 10 years. I went to Kent State University, and I've stayed after my time there and worked and lived in the city. I'm speaking today in opposition to the moratorium for adult use. In April 2023, I was employed by Constant Protective Security, a local contractor, and we provided security to Bliss, Ohio. I provided an additional layer of security at the dispensary in regards to being at the front door. I was the immediate line of defense in regards to anybody who would have ill will towards the dispensary, or if they were trying to sneak something in. So I did bag checks, I did patrols. In doing this, I made the staff and patients feel more safe and secure. I worked up there until March 2024, so I worked there from the day we opened until then. I was offered a bud tender position with Bliss, Ohio directly. I can attest that the duties there were performed in the best interests to the patients, and both medical professionalism and security. The moratorium single-handedly puts our medical patients at risk, as well as moves revenue outside of city limits to competitors like Supergood and Ravenna, Cureleaf in Cuyahoga Falls, Bloom in Akron, and soon-to-be Wellspring in Streetsboro. It puts patients at risk because if the dispensary cannot join its competitors in adult use, financially they will suffer and close their doors. They also will make local employees like myself without a job, and it will impact the community. As Pam and Dwayne have said, we do offer charity work and donations, and we often buy goods and services employed by local community members. The state heavily regulates medical marijuana, as you all know, and will continue to do so under the Department of Commerce during adult use. Under Issue 2, dispensaries, cultivators, and processors will be granted additional licenses and a demand for additional space to create more product for adult use. However, this is going to be to accommodate the additional demand for adult use marijuana. I feel like this ban is instead made in fear of not what the program is or will be, but what is currently in Kent, which is a major blight, which is the intoxicating hemp presence within all the smoke shops. I can count at least 20 in the city limits, and I feel like that's not in the best interest of voters who voted for this issue. Instead, we were attacking one thing and ignoring something else. Instead of a ban on Issue 2 and the adult use sales, I am proposing the city then restrict smoke shops and head shops that sell this intoxicating hemp that is not as regulated by the state as
You're going to have to wind it up.
I will. Thank you, sir. The remaining licenses that are going to be given out are given out via lottery. They will not be just willy-nilly. Not everybody can get it like smoke shops are today. So realistically, I just want the council to consider how many actual dispensaries will be here in the city. It'll most likely just be Bliss, Ohio. In all seriousness, just looking at facts. As you hear many people who are concerned tonight, I just want you to take into account the facts and everything and just reconsider this moratorium. As it stands, we will not be able to stay open if this stays in place because we won't be able to compete with the current people who aren't going to be blocked and are already in process of adult use preparations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further?
James Russell II.
Name and address for the record.
James Russell II, 6148 First Avenue, Kent, Ohio. I'm the designated representative of Bliss, Ohio. What that means is I am the direct correspondent, the one authorized to work with the Board of Pharmacy previously, now currently the Board of Commerce, to ensure not only all compliance, but to make sure that we are following all rules regarding employment laws, our medical laws, and obviously our future adult use laws. I speak on behalf of our staff. As a local Kent resident, I went to Kent State, came here in 2013. I bought a house here in 2020 where I continue to plan on staying here, living and raising a family. I speak on behalf of my staff to oppose the moratorium. I obviously understand that the zoning laws are typically a question about where and what should be operating in what area, and you know, this is a new industry for the city itself. We are just here to create an open dialogue, ensure that the council and the citizens of Kent are on the same page and understand exactly what this industry does by bringing jobs, tax revenue, just additional alternative medications to people who are in the medical program, as the adult use will be our backbone in order to continue serving our medical patients and the community. As a community member, I'm mainly, as funny as it is to say, I'm mainly excited about the tax revenue that we are able to import to the city. Is a 10% excise tax for adult use marijuana. 36% of that, part of issue 2, will be directly to host cities, host communities, which that would be right here in the city of Kent. As you've heard, you know, a couple numbers thrown out, anywhere from $200 to $400 million in tax revenue could be generated. Based on that, that's several hundreds of thousands of dollars that we could be using for our schools, our roads, development in community parks, development in community programs, outreach programs, education, lots of different revenue sources that we can provide in order to help better the city. As I said, I went here to Kent State. I grew up here as an adult. I came here at the young age of 19, and I'm 29 years old now, and I'm able to help not only serve the community by providing a job and providing, you know, a safe environment, a secure environment to provide medication to patients, but also being able to provide a product and a service to our local community, as 73% have wanted to approve marijuana. Obviously, that's 73% of people that are interested in trying something new and seeing if something is going to work for them alternatively. So again, I speak in opposition of that, not to say that we just want to run ruckshaw over the city. We want to create an open dialogue and make sure that we can provide as much help and assistance to the community as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further?
Tom Patterson.
Name and address for the record.
Tom Patterson, 579 South Francis Street. I just feel that I have a family members that need this. I do not even use it. I voted it in because the people voted this in, and there's no reason that this should be changed. I mean, I know, listening to what the state does and everything else, they go in and change things after we vote things in. And Bliss, I know nothing about them except that when I take my family member over there, it's the best place she's ever been. So I think there's something to go with that. I don't think we should have to go to another city and give tax revenue to them. When I live on Francis Street over there that needs so much repair, it's ridiculous, and I pay taxes to it. Why don't I get help from other taxes, not raise mine? And the regulation and the safety alternative to marijuana is ridiculous. You people know that this is a safe alternative method and it needs to be kept. Thank you.
Thank you. Further?
Haley Richards.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name's Haley Richards. I live at 842 Admore Drive. My family has lived in Kent for the past 23 years, so I'm very invested in our community. We've owned property, businesses, and myself and my little brothers all went to Kent City schools, so I'm very invested in the community. I hope to continue to live here for the foreseeable future. This moratorium will prevent the existing dispensary in our city from competing with other dispensaries in our area, like the one in Ravenna. I don't know if anybody else went to Kent City schools, but we are very invested in making sure money stays here in Kent and not in Ravenna, right? And I think that the moratorium displays kind of a lack of understanding of the process of the regulations that are being developed. There's a lot going on, but I think that this moratorium is going to do harm to our community. 36% of marijuana tax revenue will go directly to dispensary host communities. I want to see that money stay in Kent. I would love to see all the fun events that we can do with that tax revenue. And I certainly don't want to see people go to Ravenna, to Akron, to other local cities that have competing businesses and spend their money there. My siblings, friends, and family deserve to benefit from that tax revenue, and I hope that you can reconsider this moratorium in the best interest of our community. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
Kayla Henry.
Name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Kayla Henry, and I'm very short. I live at 6045 Pebblebrook Lane. I am also a lifelong resident of Kent. I went through the entirety of the school system from elementary school through the college. I am also a patient at Bliss. I frankly think that this moratorium, thank you, is an idea born out of fear. There's already a path forged with medical dispensaries, and they can adult use dispensaries can also use that model very easily. As mentioned before, 73% of the residents do in fact want this, and this moratorium is only going to make them go elsewhere where there's not one, as mentioned before, like to Ravenna, to Cuyahoga Falls. I would rather that money and tax revenue stay in Kent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further?
Aiden Blackburn.
Name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Aiden Blackburn. I live at 206 University Drive, and I'm a freshman at Kent State University. I've had 5 surgeries over the past 2 years and cannot sleep without medical marijuana. This is a newer development in my life, with me just getting the card about 2 months ago. It has greatly improved the quality of my sleep and life in school, everything else. And with coming up here with no facts, because I found out about this meeting an hour ago, I care about the people at Bliss. I've been there twice, and they are the people responsible for finding me what has helped me. And I don't believe that them being here currently in Kent harms anybody. I think it helps a lot of people like it's helped me, and keeping money in the economy, keeping people's jobs, making it convenient for students and people in my position to get medical marijuana is extremely important. And I just hope that you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brendan Allen.
Name and address for the record, sir.
Hi there, my name is Brendan Allen. My address is 0804 Coons Hall. I'd just like to say, I know I may not look like I'm old enough to stand up here, to be honest with all of you. I am
You
18.
are.
I love Bliss myself. I have a dispensary back home named Bloom, Ohio, back in Painesville. I'm sure some of you know about it. I actually enjoy Bliss much more. I love all of the employees in there. Honestly, I can safely call all of them my friends. The way they make me feel when I walk in there safely, they make me feel safe, they make me feel secure, they make me feel happy. They always ask me how I'm doing. They always show me the greatest products, best prices. They make me feel amazing. I mean, when I walk out of the store, I mean, I feel like $1 million. I mean, not just because of the medical marijuana, but because of the way they make me feel. To be honest, when I was first starting at college, which this is my freshman year, I was 17 years old. I was honestly looking for ways to get weed off the streets, just like I bet a bunch of other people. But the day I turned 18, I applied at 12:01 for my med card, went the next day to Bliss, Ohio, and I have never turned back. I'd keep going once I go home, and once I come here. I'm honestly a weekly customer. I'm sure everybody here that works at Bliss knows me. They love me, I love them. It'd be honestly sad to see them shut down. I mean, I don't want to have to look on the streets again. That'd just be sad. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's it. All right, thanks, everybody, for your comments. Going into written communications, with the clerk to start reading or communicate.
The Board of Zoning Appeals agenda and staff report for April 1st. Special meeting was received March 25th. The Planning Commission agenda and staff report for April 2nd was received March 26th. The Carta Board application from Karen Black was received on March 29th.
We need a motion.
So moved.
Second by Melissa. Comment? Seeing none, all, yes?
I believe that's Karen Beck.
I thought it was too.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is Karen Beck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
No discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Further?
Standing Rock Cemetery Board of Trustees agenda for April 11th was received on April the 3rd. The Board of Health meeting agenda for April 9th was received on April 4th, 2024. An email from Lucas Brady in regard to Bliss, Ohio's ability to sell adult use marijuana was received and forwarded to Council on April 9th, 2024. An email from Patricia Johnson of Dinsmore and Scholl LLP regarding Next Level Operators, LLC, doing business as Bliss, Ohio, was received on April 9th, 2024. Civil Service Commission agenda for April 15th was received on April 10th, 2024. An email from Rick Hoxley about the noise ordinance was received and shared with Council on April 11th. An email from Emily Mattern notifying Council of her resignation from the Health Board was received April 10th, 2024.
You need a motion to...
We'll need a motion for Emily.
I'll make a motion to accept her resignation.
Second. Who seconded? Roger? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Further?
Yeah, communication received after the agenda published. The Parks and Rec agenda packet for April 18th was received April 12th. An email from Pamela Siekman, John Powers, Arione Gaston, Bobby Renard, Sabra Correa, and Tom Levelin in regard to adult use cannabis sales were received and forwarded to Council on April 17th. An email from Hannah Toth with an attached list of names of people advocating for recreational marijuana use was received and forwarded to Council today. And also the Planning Commission agenda and staff report for April 23rd was received on April 17th, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Getting into committee reports. I need a motion.
City manager.
Oh, I'm sorry, City Manager's report, Jack.
Yeah, I'd like to move items 1 through 11 on the city manager's report.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Further, Mr. Rowland?
Yeah, I know I ordinarily just pass, but, you know, such a big crowd, I do want to echo some of the comments made by council. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being engaged. I won't bore you with the intricacies of zoning and so forth, but I do want to say something. I get a chance to work with this side of the table, and then as the city manager, I work with the staff. I can tell you there has never, ever once been any concern about, oh, we don't want to support recreational marijuana. Never. That's never, ever been the issue. And I know Bridget was speaking really fastly. She sort of said that, though. This is not about Bliss. Big fans. Big fans. Seriously. We have no reason not to be. And for all the reasons that you echoed, and let me tell you, I welcome new tax dollars. So don't ever think we don't. Our challenge as a city, and frankly, we share a common enemy, and I don't want to overstate it, but I wish the state would hurry up. If the state had issued these guidelines, we would be rolling. As soon as the state issues those guidelines, we're rolling. Next day, I promise you, we will get that zoning issues worked out, working on, I should say. Those take some time. The good side of being in a city, when you're in a township, you can buy a piece of property, and the next day you wake up and they build put a porn shop next to you, and then they put something else over here. There's no zoning controls. That's a big reason why cities are cities, and that's a big reason why people will invest in cities, because they know that their money is going to be protected at some level. So we're not wrestling, and these folks are not wrestling at all with the concept of recreational marijuana and medical marijuana. I don't want to speak for anybody. I bet there's some users up here, and I don't want the headlines to say, council's, but in all truth, what we're wrestling with, I'm waiting for the gummies myself. Full disclosure. God, now I'm going to get myself in trouble. It's been nice being your city manager. So. No. I just didn't want you to walk out here and think that your statements, one, were falling on deaf ears or ears that weren't already hearing and saying those things. What we are wrestling with is how do we legally, and that's where our law director gets involved in our planning, we have these very specific legal requirements on zoning, and then we have this new thing that entered the arena, and it ain't fitting naturally in any of those places. The state is sort of opening a path. So what we're wrestling with is, can we live up to both? Can we honor Bliss and go team go Bliss and do your recreational marijuana and go full bore and still live up to the promises of what zoning requires? So that's all I'll say. I just don't want you thinking this is some kind of fuddy-duddy old city, or no, all the things that you said are spot on. Spot on. And I can pretty much guarantee you, if you went around this, in varying degrees, they would all say, yeah, that's why we're here too. It's the value system and values of this community, which in their defense, and maybe they won't brag about it, they are a very progressive council. In human rights, down the list. You go, and it's all the things that you kind of already know and why you choose to live here, right? We hope. And we think that's too important to sacrifice. So I don't want you to think we're in any way like trying to hold this hostage or make a political statement here. No, this has nothing to do with marijuana for us. It's strictly a legal issue of how we get it to fit legally in our community and still hit the timelines that Bliss wants, that you want, and the state meanwhile, because frankly the state's the first domino that has to fall. If they would do it, we would know exactly where to go with it, and off we go running. So forgive my little speech, but I do think that's important to understand, and please don't hate your city. I think you can continue to be proud of your city and your council because they're doing things. And trust me, this week I've spent every waking minute talking to different members here and different members of our council about what can we do? How can we fix this? What's the reconciliation? How do we meet it halfway? So we're working on it. We'll keep trying. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Wait. You don't want to hear the rest of it?
You don't stay on!
You took your share the way it was.
Thanks for coming, though.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you for coming.
All right, back to committee of the whole.
Off we
I need
go.
a motion to approve the minutes of April the 3rd.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Well, they're not going to stay for the fun
All in
part.
favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Let's give it a minute.
Mayor,
Welcome to
wait a
stay.
second.
Yeah, let's just take a pause. You want to give me those ones? Then you don't have to worry about it. All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. How you been?
Good to see you again.
Glad you're here.
Somebody just told me I look like Judy
Oh, well,
Collins,
thank you.
too.
Good
I
to
was
see
like,
you, too.
"Oh,
It's good to be
I don't
seeing
have
at
the
this
blue
age."
eyes, I'm sorry.
I'm like, please,
Stay with him.
our neighbor said,
Heidi looks like
"Do what
Judy
I
Collins.
do."
I was like, yes, she does.
I looked at Judy Collins and went, what sort of facial structure?
It's your eyes, I think, more than
Yeah.
anything. Not the blue, but I mean just the shape of your eyes.
Oh, no, you guys are leaving too?
Yeah, the facial structure.
I thought
She's far older. She's far older. She's far older.
And
I was young once too.
Yeah.
She's far older.
What do we do?
So it's good.
Yes, she is, and I've heard her at the Kent stage. She is coming again in
I
May.
understand.
I brought my dad there.
I get it. I love her. I
He
mean,
did like
I
it a
won't be
lot.
surprised. I'd like to go to see her too.
I said, well, Dad's sort of like.
That really cleared out.
Hey, Mr.
Not
Mayor.
too bad.
There's no action, so we're going to vote on boards and commission. I need a motion.
I'll make a
to
motion.
Insert a name into the legislation. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make
Jeff?
a motion. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Chris Seifert to the Parks and Recreation Board.
Is there a second to that? Second, the
Okay.
motion dies. Is there another motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jillian Tipton to the Parks and Rec Board.
Is
I'll
there a
second that.
Second by further discussion?
I'd like to say that all of the applicants, everyone who came and spoke to council, who expressed their desire to be on part of the Parks and Rec, every single one of them was absolutely qualified, and they would be a great addition to Parks and Rec. I thought that Ms. Tipton demonstrated a level of experience on her resume that was something that I thought would fill in nicely on Parks and Rec, but that doesn't at all diminish from the fact that I thought everybody was an excellent candidate, and we were very lucky to have so many people that are interested in serving on one of our boards and commissions, and I truly hope that they'll all consider another board, perhaps, either in the same board in December. We've got that seat opening up for Parks and Rec, or perhaps even a different board or commission, so I want to thank them all.
Roger, you have further?
Yeah, I really like Jillian, and I also like the gentleman from Solon, I believe it was. And I think that I'd like to encourage him to come back around in December when we have another opening on the Parks Board. But at this point, I think Jillian fits that need, and I think she will do fine. But I agree with Gwen, we had outstanding candidates. It was hard to choose.
Keep in mind, this is an expired term.
Correct.
It'll be up again in January. Any other comments? Mr. Turner?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Crystal.
No, we already got a motion on the floor. Speak to the motion.
Oh, you mean
Already got a
regarding-
nominee, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any more comment? The vote has to be 5 in favor, so, all in favor, I'm gonna ask for you to raise your hand. All in favor of the motions, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That does it. Congratulations. All right, now I need a motion to insert Ms. Tipton into the draft.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Chris. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, would the clerk read the roll?
Draft 2024-030, a resolution appointing Jillian Tipton to the Parks and Recreation Board and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Zelko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance?
Amy, you forgot Robin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Turner. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of an afterthought.
Well, vote.
He did.
All right. Okay.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Zelko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
And Mr. Turner? Okay, ordinance, or resolution 2024-030 has passed.
Okay, if you people remember, we said that we sent out a list of all the boards and commissions that have openings when we send a letter to these people. so they'll know what's available. All right, would the clerk read draft number 2024-31 in title only?
Draft 2024-031, an ordinance amending Section 105.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Kent, Ohio, so as to subdivide the city into wards as required by Section 731.06 of the Ohio Revised Code and Section 64, Article 14 of the Charter of the City of Kent, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension. Second.
Second. Call the roll for suspension.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
No.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
And Mr. Turner?
This is the resolution inserting the name of the
Number 31.
Suspend.
The ward boundaries.
No.
Okay.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Move
Suspension
adoption.
passes.
Second.
Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none? Oh, go, Robin?
Yeah.
Up or down?
I, of course, have had issues with it for a while.
Talking to Mike.
Oh, I apologize. I have had some issues with this for a while. One of them being because it has impacts my ward quite dramatically. So I have that issue, but also perhaps the bigger concern for me was that we did adopt this initially with 6 votes. And through an ability, I think, that we didn't communicate well enough as to the implications of not moving forward with what we initially adopted is very problematic for me. I think that we had passed this. I think that with 6 votes, and then it came to us that we could be in violation of state or federal law regarding the Bowling Green ordinance, I think, where there was someone who was sued. The city was sued about that. I think that was improperly communicated to us as a council, but the council people who had initially supported it felt that they did not want to jeopardize the city and put it in harm's way. I think that Heidi and I both still had problems with it because we thought that what we voted on should have stood, and that we didn't legitimately communicate that to the council as to the implications if we did not move to rescind it. What happened in Bowling Green was totally different than what we were suggesting here in the city of Kent. It was a lot more marginal. It would not, I think, impugn the one man, one vote integrity of a process. And I just, and now I want to know, because we're under the gun again here, what the requirements are as a timeline and what we're looking at. Before we move forward with adopting this, we should know that, because it's been told us now that we can go to the Charter Review Commission. But by then, the boundaries will have been changed. We will have accepted that. It becomes a lot more unlikely with that the Charter Review Commission is going to go, well, they just did that. They just redid the boundaries. That's not the leveling wind that we really should be looking to here. I still believe, and I think Heidi does probably as well, that that we should be putting this before the voters. The voters have an opportunity to make a determination. If I felt that we were jeopardizing the city, I would vote for this. I still don't know what the timeline is on that. And I think that's what we need to know. We need to have what the timeline is from the law director, not maybe or possibly, but the implications if we choose not to move forward with this. What are the implications to the city? What are the sanctions that would be applied by the state? Those are the things I think we need to know, and not just be accepting it because somebody has come to us again, although they're bright somebodies. I'm not going to impugn their integrity by not saying that. The bottom line for me as an elected official is I need to know what are the definite implications to the city if we choose not to accept those boundaries.
Heidi?
Yeah, I would like to make an amendment.
Am
I able to do that?
think we can.
No, we can't, because we're in the middle of
The motion has been made. We're talk on the motion?
I
or-
cannot amend the motion?
No.
No, because it's been motion and then second.
Read your crash sheet they gave us tonight.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
No
well,
other discussion?
No, I would like to discuss, but I just thought that there was a possibility of being able to make an amendment. You know, as I talked with a few of my fellow council people, this is not a life or death thing, but I do believe that the voters should have a say in this. That's going to impact them. And I see that back in 2010, I remember the only wards that were impacted by redistricting was Ward 5 and Ward 4, because there had been a large apartment complex built on Lincoln, and that impacted the population. It was clear. It was easy to explain to people. Here's what happened, so now you're in a different ward. The redistricting has occurred, and it really didn't make a giant change. It was a sliver of a ward. This is a change across the community, and there's a potential, a legal way of remedying it so that nothing does change. So I thought that it would be a good idea to have the voters able to weigh in on it, and then use this option as a backup in case they said no, we don't understand this, or whatever the reason would be. So that's kind of what I was hoping, to have this in our back pockets as a way to keep moving forward, because either way it's going to be, the timing is about the same. It's both the same level of expediency. We still are waiting till after the election for this to come into play, and I hope that still is true, that this is a part of the guarantee that it won't change until after the election. So that's my concern. I think that this impacts the voters. I think it's likely to change again, whether the Charter Review Commission says, oh, we really think this is 15%, it's a great idea, let's put it on the ballot, or 2030 census, because there really wasn't a significant change like we had back in 2010. So we all know there was a pandemic. Numbers may not have been right on. So, I mean, either way, I think it's important that we make sure that the citizens know who's representing them, and that's incumbent upon us. So however we vote on this, I think that's really the next step, is to make sure that we do this well, that people understand that, you know, some people that will be in a different ward should know that, that it's not just the wards are being they're not just voting entities. We build relationships with people, and they build relationships with us. And so it's important that they know who represents them, or they have that opportunity to know. So I guess that's really what I wanted to say. Is it really seems like we've squeezed out all the other options, and here we are with this. So, well, I won't be voting for it. I think that I wanted to, once this is done, a done deal, I want to talk about the next step. It's incumbent upon us.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
No.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
No.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-031 is passed.
Okay, thank you. That's it for committee of the whole. Community development, Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes, I'd like to move that to accept the meeting minutes from April 3rd of 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No action. Okay, and Finance Committee, Mr. De Leon.
I'd also like to move the Finance Committee minutes from April 3rd, 2024, with the one action recommended.
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-32 in title only?
Draft 2024-032, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee on behalf of the City of Kent Parks and Recreation Department to donate to the Kent Youth Football and Cheer Organization sports equipment and uniforms, waiving competitive bidding and declaring an emergency.
Move adoption.
Second.
Move suspension.
No, move suspense. Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
There you go.
Thank you.
Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-032 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-033 in title only?
Draft 2024-033, an ordinance authorizing the recycling of old Dell traffic servers that are no longer needed for municipal purposes and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
And Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-033 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-34 in title only?
Draft 2024-034, an ordinance accepting and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the following agreements with the City of Kent, Ohio, with the city obtaining temporary, permanent, and utility easements for right-of-way purposes to install, construct, and reconstruct the roadway for the project known as East Main Street Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2024-034 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Go moving into street sidewalks and utilities. Mr. Sidoti.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the April 3rd, 2024 committee meeting minutes and the one action that was recommended.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on any of it? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-035 entitled?
Draft 2024-035, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to approve a new special event application from Brandon and Kent, known as Earth Day Vendor Market, to be held on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, in the temporary closure of East Erie Street between South Water Street and the private alley by Tree City Coffee, and declaring emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko? Yes. Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
And Ms. Hook? Or Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any discussion? Heidi?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I think this is wonderful, that a business stepped up to create something new that will, I love that fact, and that it's going to enhance our downtown. It's going to enhance the existing activities that will be happening, and I just love this community in that sense, that people take it on themselves to be innovative and go through the process correctly, and I can't wait to be there.
Okay. Any other comments? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko? Yes. Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
And Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2024-035 has passed.
Okay, thank you. That's all the committee reports. Is there any unfinished business?
I have a comment. I'm not sure if it's unfinished or finished business, but I've had reports from many residents in my ward complaining about noise and being very upset about the extended hours for music, especially during work hours. And so I'm not sure, can we investigate?
Is
how
that in
many
committee? I didn't mean
issues-
no. Is that still in committee?
No, we
No.
changed
We
it.
just passed
Okay.
it.
Changed, yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
I voted
Mike,
against
I
it.
know.
I just would like to find out, can we get some feedback and some actual numbers of people who have complained and from where? I know that for living in Ward 1, that during the summer months in particular, we do hear directly music coming into our window, and I just close my window and put on some kind of noise machine. But for some of our residents, it's very disruptive to their work life. And so I just want to find out what kind of feedback, what timing, are businesses adhering to the new hours, or is it happening outside the hours? So how do we do that? Sorry.
Probably,
Who's gonna
generally
answer
speaking, you would call me and we would sit with Nick. You don't need to, have full council time first, and then you say, hey, that's not enough. I need full council time. We need to talk about changing it. So usually the first step is talk to the
Okay.
staff.
they have, all of these residents have placed directly contact with your office or with chiefs.
I've only had one.
Okay, that's why
from
I
my
just want to find out.
office.
Did people actually
I don't know
follow
about the
through,
chief.
or am I just talking to me about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, those are, you can deal directly with my office on
Okay.
that first. And
You might,
if we need to come to the full council,
Okay.
that's great, but I know Heidi was involved in an email chain today with, with a noise complaint. I was involved in that, and Nick Shear got involved, and our economic development got a director involved. So
Mhm.
you have resources available to you
Okay.
to try.
Great,
plus
thank
you
you.
might want to look up the minutes or have Amy get them
Okay.
for you from when we did
I'll
it.
send them to you.
Discuss it.
Thank you.
When the trees
Any
leaf
other
out, it
unfinished
should be a
business?
little bit
Mr. Turner?
No.
All right. New business, anybody? Chris?
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, I spoke to Dave and I spoke to Amy. Of course, my mother got me this book for Christmas called Robert's Rules for Dummies or something. And something like that. And I read about this thing called a consent agenda. And as far as I understand, a consent agenda is it's an attachment to an existing agenda, which basically groups non-controversial items all together and allows the council to vote on them I think the term is en bloc, en bloc. I was a French major, I should probably get that right. En bloc, okay. My understanding is the goal of this is to save time, to promote efficiency in terms of council business, make the sort of the spectacle for the audience a bit more enjoyable, and basically to do all that without sacrificing anything in terms of the council's ability to review pertinent items that we've seen, here and other meetings that I've been in. My understanding of how it works, and this comes from Amy, so I appreciate you filling in anything. My understanding is the president of council asks council at the beginning of a meeting if they want any consent items that they see removed. Then they can go back into the regular agenda, and we can spend all the time in the world talking about them. I don't know how that would work, but I think as someone who used to be a viewer of these meetings and now a sort of a guilty, culpable in the flow of the meetings, I think this would actually promote a lot of efficiency, save time, make it more enjoyable for the audience, and get me home in time to see my kid off to bed if I can never make that. So, I suppose my motion is to ask the city to explore the idea of a consent agenda, bringing that to council as a function, and if we can kind of bring that to the next meeting and chat about it.
I must have missed that, Chair.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi.
All right.
Chris, do you have any more comment?
I've talked enough.
You have comment?
Yeah, I'm on a board other than council, and we do have a consent agenda, and we do peel away some issues from it, and I really don't know how it would work as far as the legal aspects of reading ordinances into law. So that's why I think it would be good to have our law department look at it and see. We've been in some very long meetings where it just feels like there's so many separate issues that could potentially be combined. All these maybe land or what is it called when we borrow a piece of land for something.
Easements.
Easements, yeah, those kinds of things. I don't know whether that can be done together, but, I remember the bridge.
Roger?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear about what the possibilities are. I have a real concern, though, because we keep using the word transparency, and then when we start lumping things together, my only fear is people will begin to say, wait a minute, you talk out of one side of your mouth about we're absolutely transparent on every item, and then we lump items together. So I'd like to hear how we could do that, where we still can maintain that idea of transparency, that people understand that nothing's being done, in less than a transparent way. Because when you lump things together, details get lost. That's what I feel. And I think that's important.
Robin?
Yeah, I certainly think it's worth exploring. The aspects that are still kind of blowing out there in the wind or something, I guess, that when we have an opportunity to sit down with the city's attorney and others, we'll be able to go through and see if that, but it's interesting. And I think it's something that we have an opportunity at least to look at. So I'd be supportive of that.
Gwen?
I'm concerned that residents won't have the opportunity to weigh in on issues that are on the agenda. I agree with Roger. I'm afraid it would diminish our transparency in that way. And I, for one, am often very surprised at agenda items that elicit a lot more discussion or a lot more public interaction than I would have guessed. I don't want to be put in the position of having to anticipate, well, maybe people will come for that, maybe they won't. So I'm going to vote no on it, just because I really like the opportunity for anyone in the audience. Sometimes we'll have people in the audience who are here for something else that will weigh in on a different agenda item, and I don't want to do anything to diminish their ability to do that.
Okay. Well,
there's a public comment. I don't know if
we got a motion on the floor now.
Sorry.
We got those rules, you know, why we make the big money we make, follow 'em.
Sorry.
Any more discussion? Okay, it's my understanding is to put this in committee, am I right, Chris?
Yep.
Yes.
All in favor of the motion putting it in committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
One no. Okay, is there further new business? Moving on, council member comments, any, Roger?
Yeah, I'm surprised that maybe it was because we had so many things today, that no one mentioned the wonderful job that everyone did in the planning of the eclipse. I'll tell you what, it was phenomenal to drive downtown and then see everyone, you know, seeing all the people, seeing our officers were there, and they were I mean, it was just it was a great feeling. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I don't know that we can thank Joan, because she seemed to be a driving force to make sure we were on task with that, but yeah, it was very good. I thought Ken, you know, I agree. Over-planning gets you in trouble sometimes, because there weren't as big crowds as some people want, but it's so much better than under-planning, and then we have a disaster, so. Kudos to the city. Kudos for all those people who.
I was at the wrap-up. I was up there, the Main Street and Chamber and that, wrap-up meeting tonight, and somehow all these people, it wasn't just Joan, but I'm not taking anything away from Joan.
No, I know, but there was a lot of people.
There were a lot of people. You know, the list goes right down to our central maintenance crew that give that in-kind service that nobody knows what the cost is, and it'd be astronomical if you ever knew what that cost was.
We don't want to know.
So somehow we're going to have to figure a way of thanking all these people.
I would agree with you. That was my next point, Mr.
Jack?
Mayor.
I'll agree with Roger, and you know, it was really nice. I wasn't down as long as my wife was, but just how well-behaved people were, and there were no problems. People were respectful, and I just thought that was wonderful.
I agree, Jack.
It makes me proud of this city. So.
Robin?
Yeah, I hate to be a downer. We had an incident that occurred on Sunday, and the chief is here. He may be able. Oh, I'm sorry. He may be able to put a little more flesh on the bones of what occurred. A young gentleman was hit riding one of the motor scooters that are in the city, and it happened in my ward, and people took pictures, and it was kind of blown up. I did talk to his mother. He's home, out of the hospital, and he's bruised, but he's recovering. But in my conversations, I think with the police department, I had wondered, because this kid was 12 years old. I've seen young people around as young as, I suspect, maybe 10 or younger, in the street, swirling around on these vehicles. So I asked Captain Prusia. He went and checked it out and came back with the Ohio Revised Code section. Subsequently, I did talk with Hope. She's working on it too. Got with the university and with geez, I forgot her name.
Dana.
University.
Dana.
Dana. God, Jesus. But I got with Dana. She jumped right on it. She called Spin, the company. My issue right now is, but we still haven't been able to nail down exactly what kind of security aspects they have in place when these kids can get on these scooters if they're just using cards. So we're still waiting on that. I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to have them come in and discuss with us exactly what they're doing to address that issue. Now, I won't say I'll wait to actually get information from the administration on whether or not they think that's even a good idea. But it's out there and it's floating around in the neighborhoods and everything about how we're making sure that these kids are safe and what we're doing in that regard. Since I don't know yet, I just told them we'd be discussing it at tonight's meeting. So,
Do you want me
Chief,
to say anything about
yes,
that?
if you would, please.
I wasn't sure. Robert's rules again, huh? Not all that well versed. So one of the things that we know about this particular accident is that, first and foremost, in talking with Dana from the university, the youngest someone can actually rent something on their own without a parent's credit card would be the age of 14. Spin is aware that that's not what we want, and that's not what they want either. But Apple Pay allows somebody as young as 14 to have Apple Pay. That is the lowest age form of payment that Spin accepts. Spin also has a thing on their app that requires the person renting the scooter verify that they're a minimum of 18 years old. So at some point now, however this kid got the scooter, he had to at some point indicate to Spin that he was 18 years old to be able to get the scooter. We do know that that's in place. I think we can all put ourselves in the shoes of a 12-year-old who finds an electric scooter and has a mechanism to rent that electric scooter, and I think most of us at 12 years old would also verify that we were 18 years old to be able to get on the electric scooter. So I'm not all that sold that that's the greatest safety mechanism in place. One of the things that if this particular kid was 12, I was thinking 14, but he may have been 12. If he's 12, the only way for him to physically rent that scooter would have been if he had his mom's credit card information. Would be the only way for him to do it, to actually rent it himself. Because he's obviously can't have Apple Pay at 12. You have to be a minimum of 14 for all of that stuff. So I say mom's credit card, some credit card information had to be entered into the app on his phone to be able to access that scooter. We do know that. Beyond that, and again, I think this goes back to just speaking about age and maturity of the people riding it. He was at fault for the accident. He was riding northbound in the southbound lane of traffic. He was riding with two other kids probably similar in age to him. When they saw the car coming, two of them swerved left and got out of the way and up on the sidewalk. He tried to swerve right, and he swerved too late and got hit by the car. It's unfortunate. He was injured. Like you said, Robin, it was nothing too serious or life-threatening or anything like that. But we as a police department have seen concerns about younger people. Now, to say juveniles, most of the time we don't have an interaction with the people. But younger people in general riding these scooters in a somewhat reckless manner, I think we've seen even at different events downtown where we have a crowded and congested downtown, someone riding, kids riding these scooters down through there at 15 miles an hour. That's the reality of Spin's program. They go up to 15 miles an hour. And we, as a city, don't have control over where they slow them down, where they don't slow them down, and things like that. So that's just some of the reality of it. I hope I answered some of your questions, maybe at least, on some of the mechanisms that they have in place through Spin to regulate how people get on them. I don't know that, I guess it's not really our it is to a degree, but I guess it's more Spin's responsibility to find out a way that they can operate their business maybe with some more safety mechanisms in place. I think we have a vested interest in that process, but I guess we're not their business professionals that are going to develop these different systems. But I think that we definitely have an interest in that, and a conversation with Spin's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, the constriction, the problem that the mother did not have a credit card. She's not involved in that aspect. As it was explained to me by Captain Crucia, the liability actually is going to be established with Spin, the parent or guardian, or the child actually is the other culpable element
Absolutely.
in this.
Well, and quite frankly, one of the conversation that I had with Dana today as well, they're going to investigate on their side of things through Spin. They have access to how that scooter was rented. They needed some information from us. I provided that to Dana today, and she's going to work with their team up there that has more direct contact with Spin, and they're going to find out how that scooter was rented. So we have that information.
According to his mom, he was just downtown, got with his friends. One of his friends could have used the card.
Right.
The other, there were two other people who were with him, could have used that card. The big deal to me was that they could access that. So a lot of that liability or concern then falls back on Spin on how they can constrain these kids from being able to use these things without verifying age and all those other things, because that's that was the issue there.
And I think on the Spin side of things, probably what they would tell you is we're making them verify they're 18.
Yeah.
Now, again, if I'm 12 years old and I'm in that situation, I know what I'm going to say. But you know, it's going to be one of those things, and I think, and Hope, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think we're starting to get a little bit more into the civil law realm of things in terms of who is liable for the actions of this kid or how he got this scooter.
No, we're not.
Well, first of all, it's probably not my job to say this, but we're in council member comments, and this feels like a committee session.
You're right.
But under the law, you have to be 16 to drive those things, and under the law, like Robin said, Spin could be liable for a minor misdemeanor for renting it to him, the kid could, and whoever guardian gave the credit card up to the kids. So we can always charge criminally. I don't think we have enough information now to...
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Further comments from anybody?
I just have a quick comment. It's kind of a lighter comment, but I just want to say that I saw Rhonda has retired, sadly, although I'm happy for her, but I saw our first chimney swifts, so they're back. So,
Yay.
so hopefully they'll, you know, make a
They'll
nice
find the
home at our
chimney.
chimney swift tower.
Anyone else? Comments? Okay, under mayor's thing, I was going to comment about the solar eclipse too, but Roger kind of brought it up.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'd like to say we're all going to be here for the next one, but I don't think so. This community came together, and what was remarkable, and I found that out tonight when they had their wrapped-up meeting, was most of the restaurants downtown sold out of food.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, you know, all these events we have downtown, there isn't one of those businesses downtown isn't laughing to the bank Monday morning. So it's all good. The other thing, this is Telecommunication Dispatchers Week. So if you happen to be up at the police station, thank the dispatchers for the job they do. They're still part of the first responders of the city of Kent. And I didn't find this out until later, but it's also Animal Control Week. So if you see Marla or who's the new one? Troy. Thank them for, you know, hoarding off those skunks and other rodents that they do. And if any didn't do it, I don't think you can do it now. I understand at Bell Tower, their city manager is going to give us State of the Union or State of the Week or State of something anyhow tomorrow. And there's 14 staff members coming to listen what they should have listened to during the day. But anyhow, that's a great thing. And if you can, once again, it's the mayor's challenge between Ravenna and Kent for the food challenge. If you have a little extra canned goods or a monetary donation, I appreciate it if you take it down to Kent Social Services and be able to have a tax write-off. But, you know, I don't care. I say this every year. I do this. I don't care whether I win and Frank over in Ravenna don't care whether they win. The real winners are the people that need it. And if we can do something for them, I think we ought to do that. With that, we need a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to go into an executive session. One, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with Section 505.10 of the revised code. Two, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish? Yes. Mr. Stototi?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Okay, we'll give 5 minutes to people to leave the room. And I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.